Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Shadow and Sun.
Today, we will be painting Durkar the Sovereign Serpent. We've already assembled him, primered him, and put a little bit of paint on him. The yellow for his underscales and black on the base. This is to help the little guy here coat him with red and not get red on his chest scales, because then it would be a little more difficult to, you'd have to white it and then repaint it. Now he's going to be doing all the work tonight.
But one thing I should say before I start, this thing can fall down easily.
If you do not glue him in the exact scale holes that are in the base, which I guess I didn't do, which is really rather difficult. It would have been nice to have a peg to slot him in perfectly, but we'll weight down the base with something later on.
Yeah, so you want it will fall. Well, for us it falls backwards.
So we just need to weight him down in the front. We'll probably use some old lead miniature parts or something like that. I'm mixing him up some dragon red with a bit of water to make it thinner. Not too thin, but we don't want it too thick either, because we definitely want.
You also want to add some stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to add a couple of drops of.
Have you tried this before?
Yes.
Does it
Flow Aid by Liquitex. Fortunately, it's got a little dropper hole, so 1, 2, 3, 4. But I hope that's 4.
Might have been 5 or 3, or yeah, 5.
There's your water. I'm going to mix this up real good for him, and then he's going to slap some red on it while I tell you about the other colors that we're going to use to paint this guy. Gesundheit.
Thank.
As you may or not guess, it's getting really cold in our neck of the woods, and primering this guy was very difficult. The primer I use requires that it be at least 50 degrees, and we were lucky to barely attain that
inside
in our garage this afternoon.
Yeah, it was in the garage.
Yeah, I had to wait until the thermometer said it was at 50 degrees.
I think that might be good. I don't know, I can only see it.
Yeah, I hope.
So you're going to do the most lid?
No, you don't need it.
Oh, really? No?
Just do what I'm doing here to make sure you don't get too much on your brush.
So I don't paint the inside of the wings?
But you can do the entire backs of the wings.
Really? The backs of the wings?
Yep. Everything but the horns and the inside of the wings.
And the horns include the
teeth and spikes.
The spikes on the back.
Anything like that.
So just like a paint on this side.
Yeah. Nice, long strokes. Use up every last drop on your brush before you go for more. Just make sure you get a nice even coat. He's going to try to avoid the teeth because they're such small detailed items that painting over the red with a white and then the bone color or what have you would just take away from the teeth. So we want to avoid that. Everything else is
including the spikes on the wings.
Yeah.
That is also something I don't want to paint.
Right. Anything that's spiky, pretty much, you can avoid. I'm not worried about the actual claws. Those,
What about the shoulder things?
The shoulder pads that look like shoulder pads, go ahead and hit those with red also. While he's doing that, I'm going to be painting the fire breath. A couple of things with this. I was having a difficult time placing piece 26. As you notice, if this was the fire, it shows that it looks like it glues in right here, but it actually glues in here and wraps around here. And I found this out only through watching Bier und Bretzel's tabletop video about the same dragon. He had done the same video, but he hadn't painted it, but he did assemble it. And I was fortunate enough to get a quick glimpse of the fire breath in the way it actually goes together. I guess I missed the tiny little hole that it glues into here. So either way, thank you guys for the help on that. Also, the tip that this is supposed to fit into the mouth, I'm not sure exactly how that goes, so I'm probably just going to file this down as small as I can and then use some blue tack to hopefully hold it in its mouth for the short time that he'll be breathing the fire. I don't really want to glue it in because it's just asking to break right back off. If you pack it away or drop it or what have you, this piece does, as you can see, it's got this tiny little holding point to hold all this extra plastic here. And you may be wondering why I primered it black, because I'm going to dry brush the entire thing white.
Heavily.
Well, pretty white, yes.
So that's only just barely.
So I want to give it kind of a lava smoky look to it, so that the black will be in the recesses and anywhere else that I can't get the dry brush into. So while I squish out some white paint and start on this, let's see how far the little guy's got.
You've done almost the entire backside of the first wing.
You may have to go over it a second time.
I definitely am going to.
If I mixed it a little too thin, I'd rather it be too thin.
It's extremely runny.
Okay, well, don't let it drip and pool. But if it ends
Yeah,
up
I'm
being
trying
too thin,
to soak up some of the
and then take it over to a brand new white area when you do that.
or area that needs
Like
some
the other
more
wing,
coat.
just start taking the excess and squirting it over to the wings. Like I said, if it's too white or too runny and too thin a coat, we can always
I actually
do a
think
second
that
coat.
this should be. I'm just gonna leave that there. Hopefully it gets.
And don't rush, you're in no hurry. And I don't know if all of you have seen our previous tip on dry brushing. Instead of just wiping this off on a paper towel, we use these Pringle lids, and I'll pull and wipe as much paint off here, off to the side of the main pool of paint. And this not only gets more paint off because you're using the hard edge of the lid. You can use any kind of lid that looks like this. We like Pringles, so we go with Pringles. And as you see, it's pooling up down at the bottom of the lid there, and I can actually reuse that paint instead of just wiping it off on a paper towel like this and wasting 90% of the paint that I just put on the brush. I should have used a different color paper towel, but
Oh, I just didn't.
don't worry if you get a little on the areas you don't want it.
I
And I'm just gonna-
got an entire side of the spike with red, but I took it off.
See, the black is still showing through because I want this to look kind of gritty and grimy, maybe like almost like a gasoline fire or lava.
That was bad.
Happy accident?
No, not really. It kind of just a thing of, oh,
Drop of paint, flow.
yeah,
Don't worry about that.
and then it's kind of a lot of paint. I don't know. I tend to put it off. Oh, and it fell, and I'm messing everything up. That's cool.
Don't worry, don't rush. The faster you work, the further you get behind.
No, I mean it got on the burn scab thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, no.
I forgot I should probably not get everything on the spikes. Oh,
You okay? Don't worry if you get it on the wingtips. That could happen. And we can always fix that.
yeah, no, I would just prefer it not to happen.
Of course, me too.
I'm going to attempt to soak up as much of it as I can. Oh, and I just painted everything on these wingtips, I guess.
I may have to go over it again with a second coat of white after I'm done here. because I do want the yellows and the oranges and the red of the fire to show up brightly, but I do want those dark recesses. And hopefully it'll give the effect we're shooting for.
Oh, you are, because I don't know. I think I know, but I'm not exactly.
I mean, I could always just redo it, reprimer it white, since it's very thick details.
And just give it a wash?
Yeah, or I could just use that paint we use for lava, and the what is it, the orange neon we use from time to time. But I want to go.
Which is a cool paint.
But I want to try.
It's very difficult to get.
Yeah, and I want to try the
What,
basic.
Does it take like 20 years? Of just, like
Sitting,
10,
yes,
yeah,
it's
it takes
separate.
10 years of just taking a paint, buying a paint.
And letting it separate over time to get the effect that we get from this particular bottle of craft paint that was a neon orange.
And now it's a neon orange and yellow.
Yeah, it really
Those cool fire stuff.
it has a built-in fire effect. It's almost like a contrast paint that it's, or a wash being liquid talent in a bottle. But we're gonna try something different, because you really want to experiment while you're painting, to learn new things. Because if you don't, then you just do the same old thing and all your stuff starts to look the same, and that can be pretty boring. While it helps you learn your techniques, learning new techniques is really the sign of improvement, for me at least. And that's starting to look pretty good. It almost looks a little ghostly now.
Almost, maybe.
There are a couple of areas I can't get with this brush deep inside, but for the most part, it's giving me the effect and the look that I'm hoping for. Now we get to the hard part, the very end, because I don't know how much of this I'm going to have to file off to get it to fit in his mouth. Let's see what the little guy's up to while I...
But did get some paint on the yellow.
Don't worry about it. I'm just more worried about the hard edges.
I actually think this is going. It's going pretty good.
Yeah, the red's looking good.
We
We are going to darken that up with a black wash, and then go over it with another color of red, and then eventually orange. And in just a moment I'll go over the other colors we will be using on this, because once the base coat is down, we really are going to have to wait more than an hour before we can do anything else because of the weather here.
And it takes longer to dry.
Yes. It took the full at least 2 hours for that primer to completely dry to where we could touch
How
it
do you
safely.
know? Oh, the primer, yeah.
Yeah, it was very cold here today. And by cold, I mean like 40 degrees.
It was hailing.
Yes, we got rain and hail. No snow yet, but
It's probably coming.
that's coming. Yeah, we can tell if it's already hailing this time of year.
Didn't it only snow, it snowed twice last year
For us, yes.
in the direct area where we live.
Yeah.
Okay, now that is completely red.
The whole body?
No, just this one.
Area you're working on.
Yeah, that I don't want to be red. So it either doesn't go in the cracks at all, or it pulls up and then it begins dripping down.
You need a different brush, maybe?
No, I don't think I need a different brush. I think it's just the paint.
Did I water it down too much?
Maybe.
Or the flow aid a little too much?
Maybe, but I definitely do like it.
Yeah, sometimes Army Painter can be rather thick and I don't like that. I'm thinking about moving to a different paint for different,
Vallejo?
possibly Vallejo or possibly even Reaper Pro Paints. I forget what they're called exactly, but okay, there we go with that. That's done. Now I'm going to go over the different color paints
Okay,
we'll
I
be
have a
using.
question. How do I do the head? Do I just not do what I assume is the horns?
Yes.
Okay.
And remember how I
Including
showed
the
you?
eyes?
Go ahead and do the eyes too. Just remember how I showed you to use the edge of the brush to get a narrower stroke.
Yeah, I attempted to use that while painting the lines of the wings. It didn't really go too well, but hopefully I was close.
It almost looks like a contrast paint in some areas.
Really?
Yeah.
Kinda does. But not in all areas. Okay, I just got some of the teeth. There's a few areas that they're in their teeth and I just made it worse. Cool.
It's okay if you thinned it by smearing it. It'll be easier to cover with white again. Or I may just go right over with it with the bone color that we're going to use.
Okay, it's looking.
Covered?
Yeah, not everywhere,
Okay, we started with the dragon red for the base coat.
which I'm still doing.
Then we're going to give it a complete wash with the dark tone. Then we'll be dry brushing over that with, I believe this is bright red, pure red. Okay. We did the belly with demon yellow, which will then coat with soft tone. The horns and fangs and spikes will be, is that skeletal bone? Yes, skeletal bone, which we will also give a soft tone wash. The inside of the wings will be necrotic flesh. We'll be using, followed by soft tone wash. The treasure piles will be greedy gold. Is that what that is? Greedy gold. And when we're done with the entire dragon, I'm going to pick out an orange color. Hopefully I won't have to mix it myself and give it a light dry brushing with orange and possibly even a light dry brush of greedy gold in some of the bigger areas like the wings and the arms and maybe the shoulder pads and possibly a little bit of the tail. We'll see how that goes. But those are the paints we'll be using for this magnificent beast.
I have gotten some on the gold. I feel like some might have even dripped onto it.
That's okay.
And I just got kind of a huge area of gold in the red.
Well, this is your first dragon. You're going to make a few little mistakes. Don't worry about that. Oh, nice job. You did the bones and the wings. I forget what those are called.
And the huge amount dripped down.
That's okay.
Or maybe I did that and didn't notice. I don't know. Could be either. Also, yeah.
It's not as hard as you thought, is it?
It isn't as difficult. It's just I feel like the hardest part is actually figuring out a place to hold it. Because
you're gonna get paint on your hands.
No, not because I don't want. It's not because I don't want to get my hands up with paint. It's I don't want to mess it up.
Oh.
And I've been actually forced to hold it by the spikes on the back.
Well, you can probably hold it by the base now.
Really?
Oh yeah. Here, let me hold your brush for you.
Yeah, because I don't want to get in wet paint and mess it up. Because I might not be able to balance it correctly, but that probably won't be too much of an issue for me.
Well. Careful not to get any of that on your face. I've actually poked myself in the eye with my paintbrush.
I almost stabbed myself in the eye with the needle today.
Not good.
Yeah, very not good.
Working on your other project?
Yeah, no, I grabbed it, and then I tried to itch my face, and I forgot that I was holding it.
Ow.
It actually, like, poked me a bit, and I didn't feel it. And then I felt it, but it didn't hurt, and then I realized that could have been very bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Might get a bit more in places.
There are a couple places on the backs of the wings with spots you missed.
Let me get those. Is that good?
Yeah, see if you can get under in there
Oh, yeah.
and give him a good look over before you put him down. And we'll say goodbye to everybody. I have one more tip I'd like to impart to the viewers about assembling this guy. I noticed, or I learned something new.
What? Assembling this guy, or just assembling things in general?
Well, this particular miniature, when you assemble this or any model, I would highly recommend that you
Model?
actually follow the instructions bit by bit, so you don't accidentally cut pieces out and then have to set them aside and try to figure out where they actually go. Especially when it comes to the hands and the feet. These little claw bits fit, obviously this part goes into this part, but I had trouble with another one of their models. I believe it was the turtle. Yeah, it was the turtle from the companion set. I accidentally cut all of the legs out, filed them down, and then forgot which leg was which, and I had to go through the trial and error comparison trying to figure out which leg went into which position. But when you're gluing these pieces, we used Tester's model glue, and you're going to want to put the glue on the smaller part, not the larger part, because you'll be tempted to put more glue than is necessary, which will then obscure some of the detail when the glue squirts out of the cracks and what have you. So just place the glue on the smaller part, just the bare minimum, because this stuff melts the plastic unlike super glue, and once it's glued and once it's in position,
It's impossible to get.
it's not going to come out without using a pry bar or an X-Acto knife or something like that.
Cutting it out.
And don't.
Taking it out would actually.
I actually did find out one way to remove the glue, which was with a hairdryer. When I was trying to dry this thing, the heat of a hairdryer or a heat gun can actually reactivate the glue to where it will start to loosen up. I did that with the tail here, and I noticed the tail started moving because of the heat from the blow dryer when I was trying to dry this to get it ready for tonight. So just be patient. Don't use a hairdryer to blow dry it.
Unless you want to remove the glue.
Right, unless you are actually using maybe super glue, but I would recommend model glue. Put the smaller amount of glue on the small parts, not into the cavities or the crevices, but just on the small part. Hold it there.
I just realized. Continue.
You didn't use your glasses?
Continue.
It's okay, I noticed that earlier too, but we're good. You done for tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, let's... What?
Are you finished?
Yeah, I just wanted to, let them know about the hairdryer and using, a small amount of the model glue, because it will squirt all over the place once you push the piece together. Let me hold it by the base. Not bad for his first dragon. A couple of mistakes I see
Yeah.
on the red or on the yellow, but we can fix
that
it.
was especially those recent.
It would have been. It
'cause
would have
attempting to
been.
get-
I was trying to help you see where to not paint.
No, that wasn't intentional. This might have been a dripping down, but turn around so I can see it.
Yeah, it definitely.
That's-
we're definitely not done.
that's
We
the
definitely have a lot of work to do.
Also, is this recent? No, it's not. That just dripped.
It's okay. But there you have it, little guy's first shot at painting a dragon.
Which isn't really meant to be finished in any way.
Oh, blood. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and come back and join us on Tuesday where we have another unboxing video.
Possibly. Wait, guaranteed?
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's right. It showed up Friday.
Oh, yeah.
We
I
got
forgot.
another care package from Archon. We'll see what they sent us. I have a pretty good idea what's inside it.
We know exactly what it is.
Don't be a smart guy. So, thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks again to Beer and Bretzels for helping us out with this one. And we'll see you Tuesday. Have a great week, everybody. Good night.
Bye.